This was the first full day of practice that counts in the NFL. It's going to be loud in Kansas City for the Bengals Sunday. That's why Marvin Lewis brought in some big speakers and pumped through them what sounded like fans at a 1995 U2 concert. Supposedly that's what the Bengals will have to get ready for at Arrowhead Stadium. Lap now on the Battle of the Johnsons, Rudy and the Chiefs' Larry.
Well, Ken, offensively, the key to this one is which Johnson will be able to run the football better. Rudy, the Bengals are 11-2 when he rushes for 100 yards or more. Larry Johnson has rushed for 100 yards in 9 straight games, the longest streak in the NFL.
He only played 9 games last season, and he tore it up. So, he's big, strong, physical, fast. So he's got all the tools. He's not lacking anything. There's not one thing that you can say, oh, I'd give him this more. He's got it all.
Well, they're going to run the football. They scarred us up for 207 yards. And, so, we know what they're going to do when we go to Kansas City on Sunday.
The Bengals have a challenge in both areas, stopping Larry Johnson. He rushed for 201 yards last year, and the Chiefs' defense led the NFL, giving up only 76 yards per game on the ground at home last year. Tough challenge for the Bengals. They got to run the ball, stop the run. That's simple. Dave Lapham, News 5 Sports.
Okay, Lap, football back on NBC and Channel 5 with a vengeance. Arena ball, the XFL, bad memories purged in one weekend right here on the Mighty 5. It starts tomorrow night.
TJ Houshmandzadeh has been downgraded to questionable after not participating in 11-on-11. Just a bad heel, could be ready to go. Deltha O'Neal did practice, but is still listed as questionable. However, number 85 going to be playing, and he has, as usual, issued his gamesmanship cards to KC's newest cornerbacks.
We got Mr. Law. Funny last name because he's not part of Congress, so he didn't make any laws. We got Mr. Surtain. Take the S off. Curtain, because I'm going to close the curtains. Other than that, man, I look forward to going against both of them.
All right, then. You can catch all the action Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock right here on Local 12. Lap and I will have the radio call on the Bengals Radio Network. All the post-game reaction and analysis on the Sports Authority right here at 11:30.
The Bengals open their season in Kansas City, the same place where they suffered their worst loss of 2005. But players and coaches are quick to point out that that game really was not a true gauge of last year's team. Coach Lewis used his starters sparingly, and the Chiefs took full advantage, racking up 537 yards of offense, the most allowed by the Bengals all season. So, can the Bengals stop Larry Johnson and that Chiefs offense tomorrow? For a preview, here's Brian Giesenschlag with the Saturday Scoop.
When the season ended 8 months ago against the Steelers, the countdown to Kansas City started. And the clock that hangs on the wall in the Bengals locker room has been right in sync with the amazing pace of Carson Palmer's rehab. To start this Sunday has always been the goal. And he'll do it with a brace on his left knee, but with no doubts in his head.
Knee is a non-issue. Knee is a non-issue.
But this is not a preseason game against the Packers. Palmer won't just play 2 quarters against a generic defense. This is Palmer's first real test. And ironically, he got some tips in the offseason from Chiefs quarterback Trent Green, who had pretty much the same injury 7 years ago.
I'm doing it from a friend standpoint and from a support system standpoint. I'm not doing it because I want the inside scoop on what's going to happen opening day. So I'm glad to see that he's playing well and healthy and back, and it's a process.
Overall, he was just a very encouraging guy and somebody that I definitely looked up to for the way he's played for a long time in this league and the way he came back from the same injury.
Palmer and Green may have had the same injury, but this is not the same Kansas City team that beat the Bengals backups in January. There's a new coach in Herm Edwards and 2 new starters on the offensive line, but they do still have the second best home record in football the last 4 years at Arrowhead Stadium. And the Chiefs also still have touchdown machine Larry Johnson.
He had a great second half of the season, rushed for 1,700 yards in like 9 or 10 starts. So that's how good he is. I mean, we know how good he is, but that doesn't mean he has to play well against us.
You put top 5 passing and #1 running game together, you get a pretty good offense. And I feel like they're one of the better offenses in the league. When they're on, they're on.
They still got Trent Green. They still got Larry Johnson. They still got those linemen up front who are Pro Bowl guys, and they still got Gonzalez and Kinnison and Dante Hall and all those guys. I mean, they got plenty of weapons, so they're not lacking any offensive firepower.
Both teams insist last year's 37-3 win for the Chiefs is irrelevant. What matters is this season. Game 1, Sunday afternoon.
We want to win the Super Bowl, and that's what our sights are set on. And it starts now, starting fast, keeping everybody healthy throughout the entire season, and we'll be all right.
Brian Giesenslaw, Fox 19 Sports.
Right now, the only question mark for the Bengals, the status of wide receiver T.J. Hushmanzada. He has an injury to his heel. That's going to be a game-time decision. Brian is in Kansas City with the Bengals. He'll have highlights and a word from the locker room tomorrow night on Sports Wrap. And, of course, you won't want to miss the season premiere of Chad's Corner. Number 85 is going to give us his unique take on the game and a whole lot more. Chad's Corner only on Fox 19.